Hi, it's Kyle here with Cisco with Kyle. And what we're going to be doing today is looking at Snort. And with Snort, it's an IDS. An IDS is essentially it's called an intrusion detection system. And with IDS, there's a tool called Snort. Now, Snort, I think they gave it that name so that you don't forget it. It's a Cisco product. And here we're going to be looking at how it works and how it's being used today. So let's just, there we go. So this is kind of in our demo walkthrough of how it works. Before I forget, this lab is online and it's called Snort and Firewall Rules. So if you Google that, lab Snort and Firewall Rules, you'll find this document that I'm using. It's this one right here. What I'm doing is walking through it step by step and showing you how an IDS works. Before we get into it, an IDS is an intrusion detection system, if I haven't said so already. An IDS is used to essentially flag and alert people in SOC, security operation centers, that is something has happened in the network and something needs to be done about it. And that's where automation kicks in and does do something about it right away. So we're going to be going through an IDS. It is different from firewall. Firewall is this very more elementary security policy. Firewalls work on allowing or disallowing packets / frames into the network based on either their source or their destination IP address. Now, next gen firewalls look at the signature, but keeping it simple, IDS goes deeper into the packet and rejects the packet. So let's get started. Before I get started here, the R1 is where we're going to be doing the IDS. The H10 here is the web server. I'll be coming back to this. We refer to this so we know visually what everything looks like. We're going to be using H5 here as DMZ's server. Yeah. So we're going to be using, as you can see, the terminal here inside of the Oracle VirtualBox. And we're going to be using this. This is like a simulator tool. So in the lab instructions, it says to get up mininet and open up x1 xterm r1. R1 is the router that's in the middle, this guy here. Now that we have that up, let's open up a H5 and H10. It's known as hosts. So xterm H5. There we go. And this window, xterm H10. Now that we have those windows open, C5, okay. Now we need to, in H10, we need to simulate a mail server. So here, I've already typed it up here. So, it was a little while ago. Okay, so let's just type it in here. lab lab support files / scripts now server start. Okay, and so now on each time we're going to do a net stat to make sure to look at to see if it's running and what ports it's going to be on. One thing here to take a note of is the where it's listening on. So it's listening on 666 port. This side is us, and oh, sorry, that's the IP address, and that's the port that it's working on. You can see that the protocol that it's using is a TCP instead of a UDP. TCP uses a connection, secure connection, where UDP is unsecure connection. Okay, so let's get our terminal set up here that we can break them out a little bit better. So we have R1, H10. Okay, so bringing in back into the screen here. So H10 is the web server that we created here. That's going to be hosting the malware. We have R1, that is the router here, and R5, that is the DMC server. So let's go to R1 up here, and let's just get a running. Let's get to see what the alerts are. Tail, using the F option, var log snort alert. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I've done this before, so it's showing some hits already because I did them already as practice. And so what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 that have already come up. So we're going to do another one. So it's going to be a fifth one. So R5, that's down here. That is the DMC server. We're going to try and download a virus. So we're going to use a Linux download command. It's called winget. This one right here. Let's see if it works. And it does. And as you can see, every time I try and download it, you can see a hit comes up here in the log in R1. So this is snort. This is what you've been curious about. What is the snort? So it's alerting that there's a malicious server hit. Okay. Now, the next step is what we want to do is we want to listen on H5. We want to listen to capture. We want to do another simulation of downloading a malicious file, and we want to download the packet file. So to do that, we're going to use a command called tcp dump. So essentially what this command is saying is listen on this Ethernet port on H5 and create a file. It instructs to create the file name nimdia at download.cap. So now we're going to do another download. You'll see an alert comes up again. And now we're going to stop the packet, the pcap file. We're going to have that stop downloading. The TCP dump stopped. Control C out of it. It's created 59 packets while it was running. Now let's just take a look at it working. Take a look at the file. So ls and long list. So here you can see using my mouse that the file was downloaded, as you can see. And every time you try it, it just added a new one. So the snort did not stop it. Later in this video, we're going to be using another tool that will stop it, but for right now, it's alerting us, but it's not stopping it. So as you can see here, it created this nimda download.pcap. What a .pcap is, essentially it's a file that you can download and then upload into what's called Fireshark. And Fireshark is where you can do deep packet analysis. So now that we've figured out kind of what Snort does, essentially Snort is just essentially logging an alert. We're in the Snort folder here, and we're using a tail command in node R1, and we're essentially just looking at the last few lines of the log file. Now, as you can see at the bottom here, H5 that wanted to download this malicious file, it did so successfully, and there's now a virus in the system. Bring up the diagram here again. So what we need to do is we need to use what's called IP tables. So that's part of the IDS. So intrusion detection system. So Snort using Snort running in the background with the log that's alerting the operator of the alert. Is great, but it didn't stop anything. So this is where you need to use a tool like IP tables. You'll be seeing that here in a few seconds, how when we get this rule inserted into the IP tables, it will actually stop the action from occurring, and the malicious server hit file, or it's not file, but the transaction won't occur. So I'll just move this over here. Okay, so we're gonna use R1. Let's create a new one. Nice and clean. There we go. And let's see what we have in the IP tables. So this is the logic, and as you can see here, we have chain input, chain forward, and chain output. Essentially, how this works is the chain input is packets coming in, chain forward is packets that are being forwarded from inside of. Okay, so now that we have looked at how the snort files work, now let's take a look at how can we get uh, downloading a virus stopped in our network when we have an alert. So that's where in the IDS we're using IP tables. So to do that, we're going to use here in this diagram here, go back to R1. That's where we're going to have, this is kind of our main, sort of edge router. It's our only router in the network. It's going to be our firewall and our IDS. So we're going to kind of use the IP tables with the firewall to block a certain IP address. So what you do is IP tables. Let's clear this out. Kind of messy. So here is kind of the logic that is set up for IP tables to see if it's going to stop a packet from coming in. The output is the traffic that originates from the firewall device itself. The forward is for traffic originates somewhere else and passing through the firewall. That's what the forward does. And for the traffic, it's the traffic that's entering the firewall, and destined to the firewall device itself, and is handled from then the router into the other devices. So those are the definitions for those three. So we looked at that. Now we need to add a rule. Go IP tables. Let's see. IP tables I forward P TCP P 209 165 202.133. This is the destination. And we're going to put in the port. Just make sure this is correct here. So this is IP tables. IP tables. I forward and P for port. Or sorry, hyphen P means protocol. So TCP and then /D 209. This is destination 209.165.202.133. And destination port is using 46s. And the action is what we want to do is drop. And it's going to ask for our password. No, it's not asking for the password. Let's go back into clear this out so it's cleaner. And so now you can see the rule is now in there. You can see that we're now dropping when we're originating traffic going to a destination of 209, 165.202.133, and it's trying to go to that IP address. We're going to drop it. Okay, so let's go back to R5 here, clear this out, and let's try and download this again. As you can see, it's not working, it's not connecting. It's not happening anymore. So there you go. So in this video, what we did is slowly, but hopefully not by not going fast, we were able to get a better idea on inside the network how, if you don't have any rules set up, how people can maliciously, maybe it's innocently. A lot of attacks that people trigger themselves don't even know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're downloading. So you can't really say it's intentional. But anyways, you saw that you can use Snort as a way to alert administrators uh, that a malicious hit has occurred. And then once you have rules set up in your firewall using an IDS, IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System, to actually stop the actual not a ping, but it's using TCP as a protocol, so it stops the connection before it gets started, so the download can happen. If we take a look at our log file, back again here, well, let's just have this up right now. Let's try and do another download, see if it pops up again. See, so nothing comes up. Okay, so hopefully that was fun for you, like it was for me, and happy learning, and see you on the next video.